Welcome, kayak anglers. You are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax. Let's do this.
Chasing the 20-inchers Susquehanna River podcast is proudly partnered with these great companies. Railblazer, think outside the tackle box. The Chegan brand, the official brand for smallmouth bass. Kayak cushion for them long days on the water. Ken's Jigs, need a custom jig? Don't look any further. Thanks for watching, and welcome to the show. Could this be the 20? I don't know.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Chasing the 20 Inches podcast. How's it going, Carlisle?
Good, Sean. How you doing?
Not doing too bad. Still
feel
recovering
like-
a little bit from yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like we took a 3-week hiatus. Our podcast was falling on Mother's Day, and we didn't want to do that on Mother's Day. We wanted to celebrate the holiday with the mothers, and yeah, we've been away for 3 weeks. So welcome back, everyone, to Chasing the 20 Inchers Susquehanna River podcast. We were supposed to have Abbondanza on tonight and Jody Queen. We're still waiting for Jody to show up, but I did get a text message from Abby saying that he got asked. I guess he's a musician too, so he got asked to fill in for somebody tonight, and it was an offer he couldn't refuse. So he is playing music tonight. I'm not sure what instrument he plays, but he's playing music tonight for somebody to fill in, and he definitely wanted to reschedule to come back on. Still waiting for Jody to see what's going on with him. I know both of them are very busy guys. Jody should be in shortly, but until then, we're going to talk a little bit about our Susquehanna River and some of the tournaments that have been going on lately. And stuff like that. So thanks for everyone for showing up. We're going to go over the river levels now. So the river levels are brought to you by Railblazer. Think outside the tackle box. So we're going to start off with Harrisburg. Harrisburg right now, as of today, is sitting at 8.04 feet. So starting to come down a bit. It came down on the 14th. It was down around, I want to say, what was it? 7 something, Sean?
Yeah, I think that's what it says. Yep.
And then we had some more rain and stuff like that and went back up to around 10 foot. And now it's kind of on the down spiral. It's sitting at 8.04 right now. So we've been having some crazy weather here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So the river just has been. I mean, if you have a boat, maybe it's fishable, but from a kayak, it's tough.
Yeah.
So.
See Ken. Hey Ken. Evening, buddy. Ken Glassner from Ken's Jigs.
What's up, Ken?
I got an order with him. I'm waiting for some sneaky stuff.
Ooh.
I'm hoping that's going to be coming soon. But we'll get back into it with the river levels. We got the Lewisburg, the West Branch.
That one took a jump too. Look at that.
Yeah, they were coming down on the 14th, but now they're back up to 7.07 feet. Well, no, 7.07 was May 15th. I think now they're sitting at probably around 8 foot. So yeah, they're still pretty high. And then we have Marietta. Marietta's sitting at somewhere around 40 feet, 41 foot. And then the North Branch would be Towanda. Towanda's sitting at 3.05. So with all the rain and stuff we had here in PA and all this crazy weather, we had a big rise in the river levels. It was to the point where it was really unsafe for kayaks there for a couple days. And now it's starting to kind of come down a little bit. I feel like I haven't been on the river forever.
Yeah. But you did all right in one of the creeks, right? I mean, you had a pretty good day down here.
Yeah, I went up one of the creeks last week and I caught 42 smallmouth.
And I went the day after and only caught one.
No, that was a different day. That was when I was fishing from the bank. I caught 60 that day.
Oh, that's right.
And then you went the next day and you couldn't catch one. I
caught one right at the ramp in a eddy right at what used to be the ramp. It was, the water was that high, but
yeah. On I think it was last weekend I went out on the kind of Tequinit and caught 42.
That's right. Yeah.
And that was on the kayak, and my biggest was 19 and a quarter. And oh my gosh, when that fish came up to get into the net, I was like, that's a 20-incher and nobody's with me to celebrate. But when I put him on the board, I was kind of like happy and sad at the same time because I thought for sure it was a 20, but then I didn't want it to be a 20 because I wanted somebody to be there with me to celebrate it. But anyway, I had a really good day that day. That was fun.
Yeah, I was a little jealous. I was sitting at my desk at work and Carlisle just sending me picture after picture.
That was Monday, I think. Yeah, it was Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even worse. Like first day back to work and I'm sending you photos of all these smallmouth, and I didn't mean to ruin your day.
But no, you're good. Talk about being happy and sad. I was happy for you, but sad I couldn't join you. And you were close to me too, because that's not far from where I work now. So
I know sometimes we both, depending on what we're doing, live within each other as far as if somebody's fishing and the other person's not. So I was like, you know what? This either is going to really make him mad or brighten his day. So I figured I'd send you some photos. With Ken's back in the chats. Ken,
that's sorry to hear that. Thoughts and prayers go out to the family of that little girl. That sucks. I hadn't heard about that, but high water is not something to mess around with.
No, and I did hear, I forget what podcast I was listening to, but Jake Hausman was on there saying that just last week 2 people went over the dam at City Island on just recreational kayakers. I guess they weren't real familiar with the area and they went over, but they both survived. Luckily there was a boater there fishing on the other side of the dam and he helped him out. But yeah, guys, you got to be really careful, especially when there's high water events, and always wear your PFD. I know I see so many people, especially in the summertime, just recreational kayakers just out there with their bathing suits on and nothing else. Like, I mean, when I started tournament fishing last year, 2 years ago, I got just in the habit of wearing it all the time just because we have to wear them for tournaments. And now when I go out, I'm wearing it all the time. Every time I go out, I never take it off.
Yeah, same here. It doesn't matter. Even if you're the best swimmer in the world, there's so many crazy things that could happen. You could fall and hit your head and knock yourself out, or all sorts of crazy things. You never know. And I mean, that easily could make the difference between surviving and not surviving. So
yeah, it's not worth it, guys. Like, be safe. I know you want to be out there in your bikinis and shirtless and whatnot. You want to get that tan. It's just be better safe than sorry, you guys. I was out on the Potomac 2 weeks ago and I didn't bring my sunscreen, and I got some serious sunburn on my legs. And that's the sun. The sun will kill you. You got to be real careful. That won't happen again. I have sunscreen in my tackle stuff. It's part of my tackle now. So, I mean, yesterday my legs were pure white because I had sunscreen all over them when we were down.
You did better than I did then, because I put sunscreen on like 2 or 3 different times, and I still ended up with burns on my legs. So
yeah, for the listeners that don't know, we had our first tournament yesterday of kayak anglers of Central PA. We were down on the upper Chesapeake Bay. Even though it was cloudy and stuff like that, you're on the water. You got different angles from the sun coming down and hitting the water, and you'll get sunburn on your eyelids if you're not careful.
Yep. I switched to a wider brim hat and to kind of cover my ears and my neck a little better, and long sleeve shirt. I should wear pants, but I just my legs get so hot, so I just got to do better at putting the sunscreen on my legs. So
yeah, you got to be comfortable out there, but you also got to be prepared. Like I heard a story last year with a person that we know, and he had skin cancer on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm wearing I'm wearing my neck gaiter all the time, a neck gaiter, a hat, and putting sunscreen on my ears just because you don't know, you don't know when your day is going to be done, So
yeah,
try to be safe about all that stuff.
Right. Do whatever you can to be as safe as you can.
Yes. I still have.
But did you want to talk about your tournament yesterday? I mean, I don't have as much to say as you do. So
well, sure, I'll talk about it. So we were on the upper Chesapeake, probably only my third or fourth time fishing tidal water, which is a challenge that I like. I really like that. The incoming and outgoing tide, and we had really dirty water yesterday too. So it was like not quite chocolate milk, but it was close.
Yeah.
I don't know how the water was where you were, Sean, but I was an hour, I want to say, south of you. Not quite an hour.
Okay.
45 minutes south of you, and it was pretty dirty. I could see my visibility was probably 4 inches.
Yeah, it was. I bet you it was similar because I was throwing a dark chatterbait, and I put it next to my kayak and dropped it down, and it disappeared pretty quick where I couldn't see it anymore. So
yeah. So I do not have a Hobie, so I was not pedaling. I was paddling. I do have a power pole, and I also brought an extra anchor for the front so I could double anchor when I was in spots that I wanted to fish. But it was still super difficult with the wind, and then when the tide changed and it started coming back in later in the day, my power pole wouldn't even touch the bottom, so I was really struggling at the end of the day. But I found something. I wanted to fish these boat docks that I fished before and caught some nice fish off of. They were really old boat docks, only about 200 yards off the boat ramp. So I went there first, and I was casting around, and you know how it is down there. Like the fish, they go through those bite phases. It's like you get certain windows where they bite. So I must have been fishing the boat docks where they weren't biting. So I wasn't getting any bites, and I thought, okay, I'm going to paddle a mile out to the flats and fish some of the flats. Well, on my way out, I went around the boat dock, and I just made a stupid cast with a chatterbait, and I caught, I think my first fish was like 14 3/4, something like that. But I was just thinking in my mind, like, why did that fish bite out in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing? There's no structure, no nothing. But when I reeled him in and got him in the net, I seen a little bit of really bright green grass in his mouth from eating the chatterbait. And I thought, okay, hopefully there's more grass down there and there's more fish. So I made a few more casts, nothing. And then I paddled my way probably about 3/4 of a mile out on the flat, and then I realized the wind was blowing so hard that I could not stay straight. Like even with double anchor, it was still turning me.
Wow.
And I didn't get no bites out there. I probably made 25 casts out there or so and nothing. So I was like, you know what? Let me go back to that spot where I caught that fish and just spend the rest of my day there. And through realizing that I started throwing a Nikko rig just to feel the bottom, and I was getting hung up in a patch of nice, like plush green grass, like the healthiest grass that you could find. And I don't know what kind of, it was, it milfoil or hydrilla. It's almost like a stem, and then there's like two little green pom-poms on it, and then a stem, and then two little green pom-poms on it. I'm not sure exactly what kind of grass it was, but they were in it. And I wound up spending probably 6.5 hours sitting in one spot, casting to that grass. And I think I caught 12 or 13 fish all day. I caught a snakehead and I caught a yellow perch. But I wound up with 79.5 inches or something like that, which was good enough for third place. And I was leading most of the day. Like I want to say half of the day I was leading. I was in first place, but Josh Sims and
Dex Lamparter.
Yeah, Dex came up, and I was happy. I had a good day. I caught a limit, caught a bunch of fish. My biggest was 17.5, and that was on a Nikko rig, black and blue worm. A lot of black and blue yesterday. I caught most of my fish on a black and blue baby jack chatterbait. I caught one on the Morning Dawn jackhammer. Basically, I was pretty much junk fishing yesterday, and I was catching them. It was fun. As far as your day went, I know you told me at Awards you caught 3 fish, I think, but one of them got off.
Yeah. Yep. So I started off. I went to more docks that I had been to, or piers, where I had caught fish the last time. The last tournament when we fished, went out of the same spot, and I only caught 2 fish that day as well. But the weather was a lot different. It was really rainy that day 2 years ago when we were there. So I went back to that spot right off the bat, and didn't get any bites there, which kind of surprised me because there was a lot of structure for them to be on. And like you said, if they're not there, sometimes they're just not there. And so then I paddled back almost to where the launch is and kind of went up the little bay that's right by the launch, because I had talked to some people that fished there last year and said they had some luck up there. So I started by going the whole way up the bank, just trying like Ned rig and little stuff on the bank, thinking that some of them would at least be associating to the bank with the water as off color as it was. And I didn't get any bites that way either. So that was probably like the first, hour and a half, 2 hours that I was messing around doing all that. And then when I got to the back of the bay, I was noticing, stuff, hitting on top all around me. I think it was perch because I kept seeing red on what was busting. And but either way, I was like, well, I'm just going to try topwater and see what happens. So I tied on a evergreen shower blows, threw it on my second cast. I landed a bass, or I hooked a bass, got him all but to the side of the kayak. When I reached for my net to go swing and grab him, he hopped off. So, but I was like, hey, that was second cast. This might be working. And then I spent like the next hour throwing topwater all over the place. Even though I kept seeing stuff busting, I never got another bite on it. And so by that point, I was pretty frustrated. I happened to see 2 of the other guys from the tournament, and when I passed them, they mentioned, hey, you just find some grass and you'll find them. And so that was the big thing. Like, I think I even texted you that, like,
yes, because you texted me, I think it was like 9 o'clock or something like that, and you were like, oh yeah, dude, you're doing really good. And I'm like, I didn't even want to mess with my phone at that point. I just wanted to keep fishing because
and that's why I almost didn't even text you.
Yeah, and then and I was like, yo, just find some grass and sit on it. If you can find some like drag, I wanted to tell you to drag like a Ned rig or something like that to get snagged in some grass to see what color it was, because that's a big thing. Like, you can't see the bottom probably most of the time on the Chesapeake Bay. So, and in most of the time it's just mud down there. If you can find some fresh green grass, just sit on it. That's what I did, and I'm gonna post a video probably in the next couple days of my tournament, and you're gonna see I sat in one spot for the whole tournament. I mean, I changed my angles on the grass throughout the hours, because the fish see something the same time over and over and over again. You got to switch it up and just move to a different angle. So I think I hit them like with 4 different angles, and every time I'd move and hit them with a different angle, they would bite. They were there all day. They have them bite windows. You know how tidal water is. I'm just learning how to do it. And the guys from SFT the past 2 weeks on their podcast talk about tidal water, and you have them bite windows. And if you find something, just sit on it and wait.
Oh, and that was another mistake I made, because I caught one then. The first fish that I actually landed on like a weedless rigged swim bait, and 2 other people right around me were catching them right at that same time.
Yeah.
And then so I kind of stuck in that area for a little bit, casting repeatedly, and it seemed like it shut off then. So then I left. Most of the other people that were in that area left. There was a boat tournament yesterday too, and there were a lot of boats in that area.
Yep.
And I was going to mention too, it was really weird because the last time 2 years ago when we were down there, the whole area we were in was nothing but grass. Like, and I'm talking, you could see it on the surface because it was that much. Like it was hard to, like, I couldn't pedal through it. I ended up having to paddle my way through it because my Outback just wouldn't. It was like pedaling through concrete. So I paddled a lot through the grass last time. And
was it about the same time of year?
Yeah. Yep. It was our first tournament that year too. And so it had to be around the same time. So it's just weird from 2 years, and the grass was almost completely different. I mean, there was patches of grass, but there definitely wasn't anywhere near the amount of grass that was there 2 years ago. So it was interesting. But so I caught that bass out of the grass, and then fished it again for a while, but didn't get any more bites there. But I almost wish I would have tried the chatterbait more. I was just throwing that swim bait, and the chatterbait just every time I threw it came back where I had to clean it off. And so I was that's why I kind of switched to the weedless thing and was sticking with that. But I come to find out almost everybody was catching them on the chatterbait, and I should have just stuck with that. But
yeah, I caught probably 95% of my fish yesterday on the black and blue baby jack. And what I was doing was I was hitting the top of the grass with it. So if it was running a little too deep, I would just reel a little faster and until it was ticking the top of that grass. And then when I felt that, I knew I was in the right. Because as soon as I tick that grass and get through it, I'd get a bite. But it wasn't, I mean, it like they talk about all the time, them bite windows. It was like if you were doing that during a bite window, you would catch one every cast. But if you were doing that when they weren't biting, that's when I would pick up the Nikko rig and catch one like every once in a while, just hanging out, I lost probably 2 or 3 really good bites yesterday. One of them broke me off, and I don't know if it was a bass. It could have been a snakehead, because as soon as I felt the tick, I set the hook with a spinning rod. I don't yank on it. I just pull up and reel, and it just snapped me off on my knot at the hook. And that never happens to me. Never. I mean, I use one of the strongest knots when I tie all my stuff, and for it to do that, it had to be a toothy critter or something.
I just missed a snakehead too. When I was throwing that swim bait, I almost had it back to the kayak, and it was right along the top of the water, and I kind of gave it a little pop, and it hopped out of the water, and right behind it, a snakehead jumped and missed it. Like, yeah, it was big. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, I caught a snakehead yesterday that was probably, I mean, it wasn't a big one, but it was probably 4 pounds. I want to say, and I thought I had a giant bass on. Them head shakes that when I first set the hook and them head shakes, it felt just like a bass. And then it stayed down like a catfish.
Gotcha.
And I was like, you guys will see in the video that I post later on this week. I even said in the camera, I was like, oh man, it's a catfish. And then it came up and I seen it was a snakehead. And every person that I told that I caught a snakehead, they were like, did you kill it? Did you kill it? I'm like, I'm not messing around with a snakehead. I'm getting the hook out of its mouth and throwing it back in. I'm not touching the thing. And if I do, I'm not taking the time out of my tournament day to stab the damn thing in the head and throw it on the bank for the birds.
Yeah.
You know, they kill the environment. Yeah, but there's plenty of people out there that fish for snakeheads that keep them, so I'm good.
Yeah, like I said, you're never gonna clean them out now. They're in there. So
yeah.
But
I'd like to try one though, one of these days.
I've heard they're good eating, but
like if I'd had a cooler and some ice, I probably would have kept it. But I'm not taking any extra weight, especially when I'm paddling in a tournament. So maybe someday we'll go out and just try to catch a snakehead, and we'll bring some ice in a cooler or something.
Yeah. Apparently they're there pretty plentifully. So
yeah,
I'm sure we could probably get one again.
I don't know if Jody's not. I mean, he's not answering my message. He didn't even see it yet. So,
gotcha.
Not sure if he's coming on tonight or not. But if they don't, we're definitely going to reschedule them and get them back on the show. But we got a lot of stuff coming in the future here, Sean. Especially for the Susquehanna.
It's gonna start getting busy.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun. July. Wait. Is it August? Oh yeah, August. We got our team tournament. Me and you are teaming up for TKS. That's August 16th. Is that a 1-day tournament or a 2-day tournament? I think that's a 1-day tournament, actually.
I thought I remember him saying it was 1 day as well, but I wasn't sure. Definitely have to read up a little bit more about it.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then when is Kayak Anglers, not Kayak Anglers, Kayak Adventure Series? That's the week before the TKS, I think.
Okay.
The 8th and 9th, I think.
And which section of the river is that on? Is that the kind of the stretch from City Island up to Sunbury, or is that a different stretch?
I'm not quite sure. I don't think we're going to have Drew on here closer to that tournament, but I think it's a little north of City Island.
Okay.
The lowest part. Anyway.
The lowest boundary. Okay. Either way, I still love that section of river.
Yeah, and then we got MAKBF coming up for the Susquehanna, I think in July. I'll tell you what, their season's like they're halfway through their season already. They start really early and they get them all in before summertime.
Yeah,
I fished the Chesapeake one back in, I think it was April, and then in May they had the Potomac, and then just yesterday they had their Delaware Ponds. They had 2 events on the Potomac. That was fun.
Do you know who won that? I didn't get to see the results.
Yeah, can't remember their names, but one of the guys that won it on Sunday was one of our local sticks around here that fishes the Susquehanna a lot.
Okay.
Man, I just had a brain fart.
Oh, you know what? I know who I did see that.
Well, Welliver, Jordan.
Yeah,
Jordan Welliver.
Yep.
Yeah, Jordan Welliver won Sunday, and Saturday it was, I can't remember what his name was, but I think he was from down there somewhere.
I back when I was doing the noob show on Paddle and Fin, I interviewed Jordan Welliver. He was a good guest too. He definitely he is a very determined angler. He puts a lot of time in kind of similar to how some of the like Jake Houseman and some of those other guys, they definitely put the time in. So Jordan's another one that really does a lot of time on the water. So
I'll tell you what, the guy that won it on Saturday, he had he was on a podcast with Fishing the DMV.
mm-hmm.
Him and Jordan were on there, and his story on the way that he won it on Saturday was crazy. Like the boat ramp that he wanted to fish from, that he wanted to launch from, that he planned on fishing from, it was just like a complete disaster. So he couldn't launch from there because it was like an Air Force or some kind of boat ramp like that, where you had to have like an ID for being in the military or something to get in there. So he pulled up and they were like, "Do you have your military ID?" And he was like, "No." And they were like, "Well, you can't get in here then." And he's like, and he didn't plan to fish anywhere else. So I guess he just went off the cuff and went somewhere and found something really special. And he wound up winning on Saturday, which is crazy. Like something that he didn't even probably look at the spot on Google Earth or anything like that before the tournament. And then he wound up finding something like that and wound up catching 90 inches on the Potomac.
Wow.
To win day one. And I guess, I don't know if I think he said he went back there on day two, and I think he wound up in second or third place for day two, fishing the same spot.
Wow.
But yeah, tidal water's crazy, man. Like, if you can find a little piece of whatever and just sit on it and just wait for that bite window, it's not like fishing a lake or a river. I know that.
No, it was definitely
a different element.
It was definitely weird. Like I remember 2 years ago when I fished it, there was probably 20 boats in one area, and I'm like, okay, this has to be a good spot. And then I'm fishing, and then all of a sudden, all the boats left, and I was like, okay, what just changed? And here it was, the tide changed. I didn't really realize it, but yeah. So there's definitely people that totally chase the tide and move around. And yesterday, it didn't seem as noticeable. I didn't notice as many boats kind of coming and going with the tide, but maybe it wasn't as big of a tidal swing. Although where we put in, when we put in, it was low tide. You know, the boat, or like the launch, there was like a gravel bar there, and by the time we came in for the day, the water was halfway up the little path there, or right up to the path. Whereas before, I dragged probably 10 feet down into the gravel from where we launched. So it was definitely up a good bit during high tide.
Oh yeah. Like I said, where I was catching my fish, I was in like 2.5 foot of water. And by the end of the day, my power pole wouldn't even hit the bottom.
Even reach. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and then I think my fish finder was saying 5.5 to 6 foot at the end of the day. So yeah, that just goes to show you. I mean, that water came up 4 feet from low tide to high tide.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Like everything changes so much. Oh, that guy's name that won day one for MAKBF was Mark Marini.
Okay.
He had 90 inches. His biggest was 19.25. Big fish for that tournament was 22 inches down on the Potomac.
Ooh. Oh wow.
Yeah, the same guy won big fish both days. He had a 19.75 on day two and a 22 on day one.
Wow.
So he must know where the big ones live.
What's your PB largemouth, Carlo?
20.
Okay.
20 inches, yeah. 20 inches, 5.1 or 1 something. Our buddy from Kayak Anglers, Brooke Williams, got 4th place. He was tied for 4th place on day two. He's a hammer. He had 89 inches. He was tied. The tiebreaker fish hit. You know how on kayak tournaments. So if you tie for anything, they go by your second biggest fish, and his second biggest fish was a 1/4 inch smaller than the other guys. So he wound up, instead of getting 3rd, where he would have been in the money. He wound up getting 4th, but Dan Grove beat him by a 1/4 inch for the money.
Wow.
But it was cool to see them guys down there. I talked to him and a couple other guys.
Okay.
Brooks a really cool guy. I fished with him up in Towanda for the kayak anglers kayak adventure series. I seen him at the boat ramp when we were launching in the morning. He came up to me. He's like, "Oh, you're Carl? Yeah, and to talk to you. I see your videos on Facebook and YouTube and this and that." So, you know, I got to know him by doing that and stuff, and became good buddies. He's a really good fisherman. But yeah, so I haven't heard from Jody. I don't know if something happened.
Okay.
I really apologize, guys. We were supposed to have Jody Queen and Abby on tonight, and Abby had got called in to play some music for a band or something tonight. He called me and let me know, he wanted to reschedule, and I told him we'd get back to him. Maybe we'll have him on, next time or something like that. And Jody, I don't know. Hopefully he's okay and didn't have an emergency or something like that. But we'll spend some time here talking about how everything's gone. Lately on the Susquehanna, it's just been blown out.
Yeah.
I know people are catching them with the high water and stuff like that. Some of the boats that go out there are having really good days, but for us kayakers, it's not very safe to be out there unless you find a tributary. Then you're going to be in the fish.
Yes. Talking to Dex yesterday, and that's kind of where he finished in second in our tournament, and he had found a good tributary and basically lived there and said it was some of the best fishing he's had. So
I wish I would have known about that. I probably would have went there too, because I'd rather catch smallmouth.
Oh, but 100%.
I mean, he had to be close to the dam, right? There's a tributary that runs in there somewhere.
I didn't want to say too much because I didn't want to burn his spot, but I think he was somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
So.
I never even knew there was a tributary that runs in below the Conowingo.
I think there's a couple, actually, a couple different ones. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, he did his homework.
He did
his homework and found something to. I mean, you could target smallmouth going up into the Susquehanna below the dam, but he knew we had a high water event and found a tributary and put a plan together. Him and his brother, was his brother that went in there too?
Yep.
He said he caught like a 12-pound snakehead in that tributary.
Yes. I can't imagine. It must have been stacked with fish because.
Oh, it had to be. I'm just surprised he didn't hit 90 inches. He was close. He was 84.
He was coming up. Yeah, Josh was sweating it a little bit. I was with Josh on the water kind of right towards the end of the day, and Josh was beat from going all over down there, and he's like, "Man, I want to just go put my boat on the trailer, but Dex is just catching me too quick." So he ended up fishing a little bit longer, but I think I don't think the standings changed from at that point from till the end.
They didn't change from, I want to say, 11 o'clock till 3.
Yeah. So, but I was definitely, and it's funny because right about that time, I just left Josh. He's like, "Well, I'm just going to stay out a little bit longer and see if I can find anything else." And then I actually caught that second fish right at the launch because I was almost going to go back in too. And then I was like, "Well, if he's staying out, I'm going to stay out. Who knows? You never know when you're going to hook something that might be big fish, So I was like, I'm going to just stay out until 2, and ended up catching another one right there. It was 15 inches, but still, I was happy to get another fish in the boat. So,
yeah, I fished till 1:15, and I was like, I knew I had a long drive back to the awards, and I was like, you know what? I haven't had a bite in like 2 hours. I'm just going to call it a day. I don't like to do that because you never know. Like, big fish, you could catch a big fish the last 5 minutes of the day.
And I literally, the only tournament that I ever won, that's pretty much what happened. It was within the last 15 minutes, and I caught the fish that iced the victory and also got me big bass for that tournament. So I tend to try and fish almost, as much as I can right up until line's out. But
Yeah. Well, our next event is next month on the 21st. It's the Juniana event, and it's our main event, right?
that's our
Our
signature event for
signature
the
event.
year. So it should be way more people. I was a little disappointed at the turnout for our first tournament, but I mean,
I was too,
wasn't.
but you know what? I looked this morning when I woke up, and the MAKBF only had 20 for their Delaware Ponds event.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on this past weekend,
Yeah,
and
no, for sure.
you
But
know,
the Juniata event should be
the Juniana event's going to be
easily
fire.
3 times as many anglers, probably, at least.
I would say probably 40 to 50.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good payout for the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I'm excited for that one because I have way more confidence up there than I do down on the bay.
yeah,
For sure.
I think I'm going to put some time in up there the next couple weeks just to, because I haven't fished the Juniana in a little bit
In a
since
little
winter
bit, yeah.
time.
I'll have
I
to
think
join you. Hopefully my
last
schedule is
time-
going to calm down here.
The last time we were on the Juniana was what, April?
It was pretty chilly.
And
I
it was
remember
cold.
that.
No, it might have even been.
That was
end
the
of
you had
February.
you did well on a jerkbait that trip, right?
Yeah, we were fishing. I was fishing the jerkbait and caught some really nice fish.
Yeah.
That section that we floated last year, that's a really good section.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should do that. We should put more time in up there and kind of sit on some fish instead of just floating down the river.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Watch out, guys. We're coming. The Juniana, I can't wait, man. I did good last year on the Juniana. I think I got a 3rd place finish down there or up there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming for you, Larry. Larry won it last year.
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to take a couple trips up there and do some pre-fish and try to figure something out.
Yeah. Maybe I mean if we're gonna do a float again, maybe I will try my new kayak and see how it goes. I don't know.
Yeah, this should be fun as long as it's not, well, even when it's windy on the Juniana, it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's a little more protected and not quite as wide open as the Susquehanna. So
Yeah. I want to say this: we are very lucky to live so close to the Susquehanna and the Juniana.
mm-hmm.
Because
I was just listening to a podcast. Oh, who was it? I want to say it was the Alex Rudd podcast, and his guest was saying, "Oh yeah, I'm super lucky. I only have to drive, 1 hour to get to the closest river to me, and there's a couple of lakes within 2 hours drive." And I'm thinking, man, I can be at a world-class fishery in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So if he's saying he's lucky for that, I can't. Maybe I truly am way luckier than I thought, because if people have those kind of drives, I can't imagine.
Yeah. So why don't we do this, Sean? Why don't we go to a commercial break, and when we come back from break, anybody that's watching wants to come on, we'll invite them on here and talk about something on the Susquehanna with them.
Okay, that works for me.
If somebody wants to come on, just message us in the comments here, and we'll bring you on, and we'll talk a little bit for 15 minutes or so, and have a little conversation. But for now, enjoy the commercial. All right, welcome back, everyone, to Chasing the 20 Inchers on the Susquehanna River. Just before the commercial break, I said if anybody wanted to come on, hit us up in the comments here, and we'll bring you on. What we should do from now on, Sean, is have we just had a tournament yesterday, so we should have invited the winners on from the tournament.
I thought about that too. Yep, and we can definitely do that moving forward.
The last time we had Josh on, it was like he's not a very, very talkative person on social media or anything like that. But when you get to know the guy, he's a really cool dude. But
He is.
we should have had we should have had him and Dex come on and talk about what they did, and we still can. We could still do that in our next podcast or whatever.
Yeah, and Dex is another great guy, and super friendly, and super glad for or happy for both of them. They both had really good showings yesterday, and but yeah, that's a great idea. I think moving forward, that's definitely something we could do with our tournaments, because
especially kayak anglers.
Yeah.
What if you guys don't know, kayak anglers is near and dear to our hearts. It's the tournaments that we don't want to miss. I also fish MAKBF, which is a different kind of thing, because MAKBF, you can use motors. Kayak anglers is human power only, so it's pedal or paddle.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's definitely a different kind of fishing. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I hardly ever fish with my paddle on my lap, and when kayak anglers comes around, I'm always like, it's a whole different. Like, I have to learn how to kayak fish.
Yes.
Because we got lazy, and with all the technology we have nowadays, it's like, why not use it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it's fun. It adds a whole different challenge to the sport.
I know it drives some people away. Like I've talked to a few people who said, I would really like to fish your events because you have them at some really good places, but I don't want to have to paddle or pedal. I just want to use a motor. And I was like, well, that's part of it. So
for me, it's good exercise. I mean, yesterday my shoulders even though I sat in one spot, I still paddled. Like, I still had to hold position, and when the water got up, and I paddled 3/4 of a mile out and 3/4 of a mile in when I went out on the flats, and I had a good workout, and it was good for my health.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like it so much. I mean,
I pedaled a lot yesterday too. So
were your legs hurting this morning?
Oh yeah.
Were they?
Pretty much all of me hurt. My shoulders hurt, my neck hurts, my legs hurt, and my sunburn hurt. So my wife's like, that's what you get. She's like, you do that for fun? I was like, heck yeah, I do. So
heck yeah. I mean, why not? Right?
Would I do it over again? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, so like I said before, we're sorry that we don't have our guests on tonight. Just had Jody. We'll find out. I'll let you guys know what happened with him. But Abby had something that he couldn't turn down. I mean, he got offered a bunch of money to play some music tonight, and I'd probably do the same thing. But he called me, and he absolutely wants to reschedule and come on. He's local. I think
really?
I think he grew up around the Susquehanna River.
Okay.
So I don't know where he lives
now. I know both of
but
those guys are hammers, so we will definitely have them back on. Sometimes scheduling things happens. Hey, there's Josh in the comments now.
Hey, Josh, get on here. Come on. Let's get him on it. Let me send you an invite. We could talk to Josh real quick for about 10 minutes. Let me
see if Josh wants to come on.
Let me invite him. Let me get out of here real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hang on. I might have to do it on my phone.
Okay. I can. I might be able to send him the link.
See if you can send him an invite. We'll talk to him real quick about his win tomorrow.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Yesterday, sorry.
Let's see.
Oh, now he's saying he can't jump on.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for at least stopping by, Josh, and congrats on your win yesterday.
Thanks, Josh. Congrats.
Josh was.
He's telling me yesterday he's only fished 4 times this year, and it was all for tournaments. He did not fish for fun at all this year, and he comes down to the Upper Bay and catches 20 inchers. I mean, Josh, come on, man. Like, whatever you're doing, send some this way, bro. Like,
Yeah, Josh is driving, so that's why he can't join. But yeah,
Yeah.
Josh, yeah. What's your average finish? I mean, if you fish 4 times, 4 tournaments, I know you won this one, so you got to be. I imagine you probably didn't do too badly in the other ones either. That's
No,
kind of
yeah, I'm
impressive.
sure.
I
He's
would
just
be.
a big fish magnet. Wherever he goes, he just catches them.
He knows it. He knows what he's doing. That's for sure. There's a
If you
reason
ever
why
sell
he's
your
like.
kayak, Josh, I want to buy it just for the fish mojo that's all over it. But yeah,
But
he's been super busy at work. He was telling me yesterday he's been working like 90 some hours a week. It's crazy.
I would.
And then
I would need to fish at that point.
he just gets lucky, he says.
Well, you get lucky a lot, brother.
Yeah, come on. We'll see. We'll see what happens this year. He's probably going to win Angler of the Year again. He always does.
We were joking yesterday. Bull Bay Rods is a sponsor of kayak anglers this year, so the winner of every tournament gets a Bull Bay rod. And so Josh, of course, won yesterday and got his pick out of the 5. And I was thinking in my head, he's probably going to have a collection of Bull Bay rods by the end of this.
Yeah, those are some nice rods. I was really impressed yesterday when I was looking at some of them rods. I was actually thinking about just ordering one because I need a really good. The rod that he picked yesterday looked like a really good rod for a mag draft.
Okay, was it heavy?
It was a heavy fast action.
Okay,
and when he was bending on it at the tip, it just looked like, okay, I'm gonna slang into a freaking bass with that mag draft in its mouth.
You said you did throw the mag draft a little yesterday?
I did. Was dragging it through the grass, but I don't think I had a bite on it.
How did that come through the grass? Okay.
Yeah, really well. I was fishing the freestyle. How our buddy told us to rig that. I even went to the point of changing out the spring, the screw spring that you screwed into the head of the mag draft. Yeah, I went down a step so it was a little smaller, and it doesn't really like bulge out the sides when you screw it in. Then what's he saying now?
He was talking about how he broke Josh also broke a rod yesterday. So luckily he, wins enough rods to, keep himself well stocked. But he was saying public service announcement, don't boat flip with a jerkbait rod. Yeah. Or you could just not catch 20s and boat flip them either. But,
what was he doing? Fishing a jerkbait rod with a swim bait or something like that?
Yeah, I think he didn't have his normal swim bait rod. So he was throwing it on a jerkbait rod. That's what I was actually throwing that shower blows on, was that combat stick that you turned me on to.
How was that for casting?
I was happy with it. I was doing pretty well,
really?
bombing that shower blows out. Yeah.
So, I know it says on that rod that you can throw like poppers or something.
And that's why, it says, jerkbait / topwater. And that's why I put it on there. The only thing I don't have, same with the jerkbait. I don't have the action for a topwater walk the dog thing on a bait caster. I can do it with a spinning rod, but for some reason I couldn't do it as well with the or with a bait caster. I don't know. It's just muscle memory. I got to learn.
Well, it's also harder to do from a kayak too. It's different technique.
I was standing up while I was doing it because that made it a lot easier, and I could see a little further because there was some chop on the top of the water. So when I was sitting down, I couldn't always see the bait while I was moving it. So then I stood up so I could at least see what it was doing.
Yeah, he also told me that when he caught that 20-incher, he wanted to boat flip it, but then he was like, "Oh no, that's a little bit bigger." I guess he didn't bring his net, but I guess he.
No, I think he had his. No, I think he had it. I think he just wasn't using it, but I think he used it for that one. So
he's a good dude, man. Josh is a good dude. I got to really get to know him last year through fishing. That's another thing, guys. Like, you fish these tournaments with all these guys and stuff, and the award. You go to the awards just for the camaraderie and stuff like that. And you meet some really freaking awesome people.
Definitely. I mean, that's what kept me coming back. When I first got into this, I knew next to nothing, and if it weren't for people like Mike Reinhold and just really genuine good guys that will tell you, what's working for them, and they share information, they'll,
Yeah.
if you
Everybody
ask them a
does.
question, yeah, it was such a great community, and that's kind of what, kept me coming back. And, it just, I've met so many awesome people
Yeah.
through doing that, I just, that's why I highly encourage anybody who is at all interested in trying tournaments, even if you don't think you'll do well, just go, just try
Yeah.
it. It's not even, the kayak anglers aren't, the investment isn't that crazy. I think it's $35 if you're a member, and it's just try it, even if you just do one tournament, just because you'll meet people, and it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's just fun to talk to people and see how they were catching them, and then they tell you, and you put that in the back of your mind for the next year or whatever if you're going back to the same place. Like, even I was thinking, like, what Mike was showing me with that swim bait, was like, what's he saying now?
He's
Oh
saying
yeah,
a
the
comment, yeah.
camaraderie it's top notch for sure. What do we have at Wards yesterday? Probably 10 guys were there out of 11,
Yeah.
and we all stood around and chatted for probably an hour and a half and had a good time, and and it's just a blast, man. I look forward to the awards because I know I'm going to see Josh every time. He's coming to the awards because he's winning every freaking tournament. But
Hey,
I'm
speaking of
cheering for
kayak
him.
anglers, there's Dane. Hey, Dane, what's going on, brother?
Dane, there's another awesome dude, man.
Heck yeah.
I got to meet him last year. What a cool dude. Yeah, you know, I know our podcast is based around the Susquehanna River, and we were going to get into that tonight with Abby and Jody, but they had other plans. Didn't show, but Abby did call me today and said he wanted to reschedule. Jody, hopefully it wasn't anything serious, emergency or anything like that, and hopefully we can reschedule with you two. But we are kayak anglers. Well, we are anglers at heart, but we do kayak angler stuff a lot. And KA is just such an awesome group of people. We get to meet so many cool people, and it's not like people keep secrets, really. Like, if you walk up to somebody and say, "Hey man, you got first place today, would you catch them on?" They're going to tell you, and they're going to show you, you know. They like to see everybody catch fish. It's
And even
just,
if you're intimidated by going out, just if you drop your name in the chat and in kayak angler Central PA and say, hey, I don't know where I'm going, would anybody mind if I fish with them? That's how I kind of got started. I put it out there and said, hey, I'm a little intimidated by sections of the river I don't know, and I got tons of offers. Oh yeah, come fish with us, or hey, meet
yeah,
me at this ramp and go out, and we'll go out and learn the river. And that's kind of why I say it's just the group of people is amazing, and
yeah.
I can't say enough about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you got if any of you guys out there don't know how to get a hold of us, I have a YouTube channel. Drop a comment in one of my videos. I'd be more than happy if when I'm out fishing to go out with you guys, or if you're like Sean said, if you're intimidated by certain sections of the river, we'll go out. Let's go out and have some fun. Uh,
Absolutely.
it looks intimidating, but once you're out there, it's not that bad. As long as the river levels are normal and not high water situations or anything like that, it's fun when you're out there. Me and Sean
Yeah.
have a blast out there, man.
Yeah. No, you meet friends. Like, I mean, heck, what for a chance encounter at the ramp? What was that, 2 years ago, Carlisle? And now we're sitting here doing a podcast together. So
Yeah, I don't think we ever told that story. I think I was leaving and you were getting ready to get on the water.
Yep.
And I caught a bunch of nice fish on I think it was a golden shiner chatterbait.
Yep. I was just gonna
And
say a golden shiner.
me and Sean ran into each other at the boat ramp, and I just told him, "Hey, they're biting on a chatterbait." And I guess he went out there and caught a bunch on a chatterbait.
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since then, we've been talking. And then just last year, I said, you know what, Sean, I think I want to start a podcast. I want to fill a gap that needs to be filled for the Susquehanna River. And he's like, I'm all for it. So here we are.
Yeah.
And
so you never know who you're going to meet or where it's going to take you. So
yeah. That's awesome, Josh. He says, I don't know how to keep a secret. I love helping others more than competing. Sean, you're a good not Sean. Josh, you're a good dude, man. I know you are like that too, because yesterday you showed me some stuff that was in your box and you didn't have to do that. But you're a good dude, man. And we wish you luck, and we hope that you don't have to work so many hours in the next couple months so you can be out on the water with us. Yeah, Sean. So what we're going to do here is just, if anybody has any questions real quick before we get off of here about anything they want to know as far as tournament fishing, Susquehanna River, whatever, we'll be looking out in the comments. If not, we're going to say a couple more things, and then we're going to get out of here because Toronto Maple Leafs are playing, and so is the Edmonton Oilers. Two of my favorite teams, and I can't miss the game.
How much of hockey is left? Like, is this playoffs?
Yeah, there's 4 teams. Well, the Oilers play the Dallas Stars tonight. That's game 6. If the Oilers win, they go to game 7. And then there's 3 other teams that are playing. So, like, the teams that play tonight, after tonight, it's either going to be going to a game 7 or it'll be 4 teams left for the Stanley Cup.
Wow, gotcha.
He says, just don't tell Mickey.
Speaking of another awesome person I met through this and another hammer.
Yeah. We learn a lot from these guys. Not so much like they still have a lot more knowledge than we do, but they do give us some of the juice every once in a while, and we appreciate that. When is it coming, bro? I want to catch that 20-incher. So close so many times.
The amount of time you're putting on the water, it's got to be soon. And
I talked to what's the guide's name we had on here?
Joe Raymond.
Yeah. Joe Raymond. I talked to him. I'm sending him pictures. He's like, you catch that 20-incher yet? I'm like, dude, and a Chegan, Josh Sharenko.
Yeah.
They're both texting me, yo, you catch that 20-incher yet? I'm like, dude, like, I feel like I'm cursed. Like, I've been so close so many times. It's just, sooner or later, I'm going to get this belt stretcher, and I'm going to stretch one of these 19.5s to 20, and I'm going to take a picture.
You might have to sit on it and squish it a little bit, no, dude. It's
it's going to happen, man. I hope it happens during a tournament. I can't wait. I've caught 20-inchers before, but not smallmouth,
right?
Largemouth.
Yeah.
Hopefully it happens during the TKS tournament. That'd be cool.
That would be very cool.
All right, we got Josh on here. I hope you're not texting and driving, Josh. I hope that 20-incher comes during the Juliana event and you win it. That'd be awesome.
That's where my PB came from. So you never know.
I think last year I caught a 19.5 on that event. I got 3rd place.
Mm-hmm.
That was one event where I was like, "Where's Josh?" And he's like, "Oh, he was back in the crowd." It was Larry, Dex, and me up there for the top 3.
Yep.
And I was like, that's kind of weird not seeing Josh up there.
Well, he was saying, both him and Ryan were saying they don't love this Juniata for some reason.
Any updates on the missing girl on the West Branch? No.
Well, that's what I think. That's what Ken was talking about, where they unfortunately found the body. So yeah.
It's sad, man. Last year, when you called me during the North Branch tournament, and told me that was crazy. You found a dead body.
Yeah. Yeah. They say, I am, you fish long enough, it could happen. And hopefully that is, the one time in my lifetime where that something like that happens. But yeah, that was definitely surreal.
Now, what's the story behind this missing girl? Was she on a kayak or something like that? Or?
I have no clue. I hadn't even heard about it until Ken mentioned it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So but it just breaks my heart.
Sad.
Yeah,
but they did find the body.
Yes. So,
well, Josh, be safe driving. I know you got to drive to work and probably put in 100 hours this week. Everybody else, like we said before, just safety first, man. Like, if you know you're going to be on the water, just be safe. Make sure you got your PFD. Make sure you got some kind of flotation device or anything like that. Sunscreen, that's a big deal, especially coming up, in the next couple months. It's going to get really hot. Like, always think about, like, you always want to go back to your families, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just have fun, but be safe about it. We're seeing way too many lives being taken on these rivers, especially the Susquehanna River, where things shouldn't happen like that. Especially if you're fishing a new area or just going out kayaking on a new area of the Susquehanna. Put in your homework and look at Google Earth and figure out your routes by looking at Google Earth. And,
check the river levels.
Check the river levels, like Sean says. Make sure we're not having any high water events or anything like that, and go out there and enjoy what we have. Enjoy what God created, but do it in a safe manner. I'm a supervisor at a box plant, and it's crazy how much we talk about safety, and I implement that into my life. So I hope you all do the same thing, and God bless everyone, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks. Hopefully we can get some guests on here. We're really sorry what happened tonight, but I don't know, it's kind of like false advertisement, but
hey,
not really. We had contacted these people. Thank you, Real Waters.
Yeah, thanks. Menasha, I'm not sure what that means.
Is that like a secret spot on the Juniana? I don't know. But anyway, God bless you guys. Thank you for hanging out tonight. Hope you guys learned something. If not anything, safety first, especially while you're on water. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk of adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching The Noob Show with Matt Gibson, Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols, The Rusty Hook with John Rapp, The River Run with Adam Fraser Pross, May Contain Fishing with Daniel Woodcock, Chasing the 20s with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery, Friday Night Bites with Brian Schiller. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and always wear your PFD.